Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. Rogers and Patrick, that's us. And we're pleased to welcome in one of our good buddies, the head coach of the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. Always love chatting with the great Frank Scelfo. Coach, what is up, my friend? How are you?
Patrick, we're in the middle of camp, man. You know, it is just that time of year.
Yeah, and has this camp felt different? Because it feels like it's way hotter than any camp I can remember.
You know, Patrick, I've been born and raised in South Louisiana.
Sure.
I've been here a long time. What's hot is hot. You know, I guess there's different levels. When I was out at Arizona, it was that hot, but you didn't sweat as much.
Right.
Because of the humidity, lack of humidity. So we haven't changed anything. We've got the same schedule we've had for the last 5 years, and we're going through everything just like we've been doing it, and our guys are handling it well.
Well, look, it's hard to argue with the results, right? You won a conference, share the conference championship last year, win in the playoffs, got to the second round, 9-4. It really is hard to argue with the results. Tell me, now that you've been there for a bit, do you feel like you have this in a place where, every year your baseline is better than the year before?
I think we have gotten to the point in recruiting we're able to do a better job, be more selective, I guess you could say, the recruiting process. But the curveball to us, Patrick, is we base all of our recruiting basically on high school guys. And, we're heavy in high school signees. And, I think we signed 24 this year, and 20 of them from Louisiana, 21 of them from Louisiana. And when you wake up after a couple of years, the transfer portal, here they go, and we're losing some guys. So it's a little bit more difficult to build your program that way because you're not sure who you're going to lose. You know, when you had a senior class, you knew what you had to go get to fill in those spots, but you're not quite sure now with the portal as it opens up in December. That's when you lose the bulk of your players and that are going to transfer. So, you got to be – I think we're able to be more selective. To answer your question, yes, we're able to be more selective and get a better player from the high school level because other guys spend more time in the portal. But at the same time, there are some curveballs being thrown because of the transfer portal.
Yeah, it used to be, and you know this very well, used to be you could transfer down without penalty, but transferring up you had to sit. So it was always a boon to the FCS guys. You would see every program – hey, a kid that thought he was going to make it at LSU didn't work out. I'm going to go down and be a star at the FCS level. And we saw that all the time. But it's different now. You have a kid who is a star and goes to LSU. Zy Alexander does that. How does that kind of change the landscape? Are you having to recruit your own guys more than you ever have?
We don't, Patrick.
Okay.
Look, this is what we do. This is who we are, and we'd love for you to stay and be a part of it. If you don't, that's okay. It used to be I would get a phone call from LSU, and they'd say, hey, I got a couple of guys you might be interested in. We're not going to have them anymore. We're going to move on from them, but I think they'd be good for y'all. Now we get a phone call from LSU and say, hey, we're going to take a couple of your guys that we're interested in. And so it's going the other way, like you said. But we're not recruiting our guys. We got a good product here. I think we develop our players. We've got an outstanding staff. They develop our guys. They work their tails off. We've been successful, and that's our product. And if you want other things out of it, then go somewhere else. Because if you're not all in, you really are all out because you can't be as good as you can possibly be. And then we can't be as good as we want to be as a program if we got a bunch of guys that are always having one foot out the door. Yeah,
and look, no better guy to put in charge of dealing with all this insanity, the transfer portal, is give it to your kid. Make him deal with it, right?
Yeah, he's in here just about every day. That like the portal's wild now. People don't understand that how, and really it's impacting the student athlete more than people thought it was gonna, from the standpoint of they're chasing these NIL deals. Well, there's not a lot of deals out there that when you hear of a guy making $500,000 a year driving a Mercedes, those aren't out there as much as people think.
Sure.
Patrick. But what's going to happen is that the street agent, and even in some cases, in our case, we had some high school coaches that were telling our players, look, I got you somewhere and I can get you some money if you just get in the portal will get you going, and that's not always the case either. So you just got to really be careful, and the ones that are suffering really are the players themselves this time.
Yeah.
Some guys are getting signed for depth purposes, because the FBS schools are cutting so many guys. And if they would just go back to having a certain number of guys that you can bring in every year, and your initials, you got 25, and now it's unlimited, but they used to be at 25. Well, they complain that they can't fill their roster. Well, that's because they cut everybody in December.
Sure.
And then they come back again after spring ball, after they go sign a bunch in January, and then they cut them again in April and put some more in the portal. So they got to go out, and that's why they got it unlimited. They just keep churning guys.
Yeah.
If they put a cap on that, they can't do that.
Well, and I tell everyone the portal is simply a clearinghouse. It's the idea that everyone gets a free transfer, at least one free transfer. That's what's turned this into the Wild West, is because everyone thinks the grass is greener somewhere else. I'll tell you this, though, Frank, if y'all will just give me a Tommy's NIL deal, I'll come down there and be at Southeastern the rest of my career. I have no problem with that. That's all I need.
Well, if you saw my waistline, you'd think I had one. No, it's a good place to eat. I didn't know you knew about time. We've got a lot of great places.
Come on now. Look, Frank, I've been in the league at Northwestern for 22 years now. I know every place to go when it comes to being on the road. Like, you're not gonna, if I have to go to Middendorf's, I got to get down there and get some thin catfish. I know all the places. You're not gonna. But Tommy's is always the first stop on a trip to Hammond, America.
That's a good call. That's a good call. I promise you.
Yeah.
We'll appreciate that, but it's a good call. You're not missing on that one.
No. Look, if you saw my waistline, I don't miss with that very much either. I'm talking to Frank Scelfo, the head coach of the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. All right, I need to know how are y'all pronouncing Zach's last name now? What is he now that he's down there?
Well, I say Claymore. I mean, that's what I say. He hasn't corrected me yet. I know the Clement comes out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I say Claymore because he's from Lafayette. I know her. I mean, that's where I grew up there in New Iberia.
Sure.
So it's been Claymore, and I like that. I like the ring to it. And, he's done a wonderful job since he's been here. I can tell you that. But he's absolutely, we recruited him out of high school, and that was one of the reasons we took him as a transfer, because we knew him, his family. And I'll tell you this, his mom made the best crawfish etouffee I've ever eaten.
Nice.
Better my mom, and mine's pretty good, but his mom makes the best crawfish etouffee you could possibly get.
Well, let me tell you a quick story then. I was just telling this on the air. Before year 2, so we called him Zach Clement his whole first year. We get to year 2, and we're getting ready for game 1. He's sitting in kind of down on the bench on the sideline, just kind of hanging out, pregame. And I go, look, just let me double check. We're calling you Zach Clement. Is that how your name's pronounced? And he said, you just call me whatever you want. I go, no, that's not how this works. In broadcasting, you tell me how to pronounce your name, and we pronounce it that way. And he said, well, my mom would probably appreciate if you called me Clement. And I'm like, well, if that's what mom says, then that's what we're going with. So he became Zach Clement in year 2, and the rest of his career when he was at Northwestern. So I don't know what you want to do, Frank. I'm just saying, maybe if you want some more of that etouffee, maybe you call him Clement. I don't know.
I'm going to go straight to the source on this one so I can get some more etouffee.
Exactly. Exactly.
I can't spot, I promise you that.
No, no doubt about that. Hey, kind of give me the outlook for the team. Obviously, you've kind of been on that rise. Things have been looking good. Share of the championship last year. Got into that second round of the playoffs. Tell me about kind of where you feel like the program is right now.
I think we've stabilized the program. When I got here, I said I didn't want to have a flash in the pan year or two. I wanted to continue to do that so that we could get the respect that, I think we can earn that respect on a national level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Southland is appreciated in a lot of areas of the country. And that's why we're going up to Eastern Washington this year to go play them. We've got a home and home with them. That's a program that's been a perennial powerhouse at this level. And, for us to be able to go up there, I think that's a compliment to what we're doing down here for them to play us, because it does enhance their schedule and strength of schedule. And next year we've got South Dakota State. We're going to play them. Same thing. It's whereas before the first couple of years I couldn't get anybody to play us.
Right.
We could go up there and they could pay us, but they wouldn't do a home and home. And now they recognize, that we're at a place on a national scale that can benefit their program too. So I think we're at that place. My problem is because of the transfer portal, you don't know who you're playing anymore until you actually get into the season.
Mm-hmm.
So to take a look at what everybody has because of the number of transfers, the way the rosters are changing so much, losing guys, gaining guys, it's hard. It's kind of hard to gauge where the strength of each team is. You're obviously you're at Northwestern, but
Mm-hmm.
I know Brad's brought a lot of people, and they really started off well last year,
Yeah.
and just taking it off at the end. But he's brought in a bunch of people. UIW's brought in a bunch of guys. McNeese has brought in a bunch of guys. So I don't know who we're playing until as the season goes on. I think we're pretty good. I think we got a chance to be pretty good. We got to stay injury free, and we got to do all the coach speak stuff. Don't turn the ball over,
Sure.
and all that other stuff. But I think at the end of the day, our guys, we've had a good summer. Camp's going well right now. I'm looking forward to the season. I know we got a challenging schedule, but I really feel like if we can stay relatively injury free, we got a chance to make an impact on the conference.
Yeah, that first 3 games is rough. At Mississippi State, at South Al, and at Eastern Washington. What's your strategy for the turf at Eastern Washington? Do you wear like special sunglasses? How do you deal with that abomination and eyesore that they have up there in Cheney?
How about that? We watched them on film, and it really is. It's kind of you back off because I've never played on a red field before.
Yeah.
Now, I played in Boise. That was a blue field.
Sure.
When I was coaching in Louisiana Tech, we went up there. So that was an eye-opener. And then when they wear the blue uniforms on the blue field, it makes a difference. So I got a feeling EWU is going to wear the red uniforms on the red field, and it does. It gives you problems when you're a visiting team. But, for us, we want our program to be spoken in the same sentence as theirs. When you talk about Eastern Washington, you talk about past national championships, you talk about perennial playoff teams, conference champions, Walter Payton Award winners, all of those things. They got a great tradition. That's where I want to get us to, Patrick, before, I want us to be at that level and stay at that level and get that recognition.
Well, I will say this. A lot of the things you listed, you've already checked off. So, Walter Payton Award winners and perennial tournament teams. You're on that list. So I would say you're getting where you want to be.
We are. We got to go. We're one of 3 teams to be ranked in the top 25 the last 4 seasons, right? And it's us, North Dakota State, and South Dakota State. That's it. That's the only 3 teams in the country, and that's a good thing. And I think that's what's put us in a position to be able to schedule these teams and them be open to playing us. And we got to get past the second round. We have gotten to the second round and went to Montana and got our brains beat in, but we learned a lot. We went to James Madison the next year and got beat again and learned a lot. But we learned from both of those experiences. And then we go to Sanford this past year and lose in overtime in the second round. So we got to get past that second round game. We got to get in the tournament, and then we got to get past the second round game, for us to feel like we're making progress.
Well, you definitely are making progress, and always one of my favorite guys to talk to, whether it's pregame, whether it be here on our radio show, whatever the case may be. Obviously, we get to welcome you guys to Natchitoches this year, so I'll have the call for it on the ESPN Plus. And look, one thing we do, we're always unbiased on our ESPN Plus broadcast. So we'll definitely look forward to chatting with you come that week of October the 21st, brother.
Same here, Patrick. I appreciate everything y'all do. I apologize being a little bit late.
Oh, you're
today,
good.
But just the time being able to spend with y'all, man, I'm always open for that, and I really appreciate it. So look forward to seeing y'all and line up.
There you go. I'll add Forkham Demons to that, Rogers, just on the end of it there. Southeastern Louisiana head coach Frank Scelfo, always one of our favorites.